So here we have it finally, unveiling the new dinsync.info module. This is the first of our new SARA line. This is the SARA VCF. And yes, there will be other SARA modules. And don't worry, we do have a particular Mark II of a drum module coming in the not too distant future. But today, this is our next offering. This is, like I say, the SARA VCF. And what this is, it's a fully voltage control state variable filter with dual opposing self-oscillating cores. Now that does sound like a mouthful, and that's straight from the marketing sheet. So let me tell you exactly what that is. Basically, what this is two self-oscillating filter cores, state variable. Now let me just pull up this little diagram for you to look at. And there we go. And as you can see from here, we have the input to core 1 with frequency and Q control. That's another word for resonance, of course. And we have the outputs, the high pass, band pass, and the low pass. And as you can see, the high pass and low pass output goes to the notch output, which is controlled by the state. Now the notch output from core 1 goes into core 2, and we have pretty much the same setup, which is frequency, Q controls. Then we have high pass, band pass, and low pass output into the notch, and then finally the notch out. And then that would be the default routing. But what you may notice is if you look at the notch on core 1 and then the notch on core 2, you can see they're opposite. So that means to say that when core 1 is pointing to high pass, core 2 is pointing to low pass, and the other way around. So when core 1 is pointing to low pass, core 2 is pointing to high pass, and everything in between. Now we actually have a CV control for this as well, which works with audio rate, and that gets kind of wild. So yeah, so we can pretty much set up just normal filter sweeps. We can set up sort of dual, sort of like an MS-20 style, sort of high pass into low pass. You can do sort of a quasi low pass gate, which would be using the first oscillator, first filter core as an oscillator, the second one as a low pass gate, completely closed. It doesn't completely close 100%, but you can adjust the trimmer on the back if you want to do that, but we'll explain that'll be explained in the manual. Basically, we've kind of set it at a conservative setting that lets you get the full range of the filter from the knob. Of course, you can use offsets to do pretty much what you want. So each core has got frequency control 0 to 12, minus 12 to 0, plus 12 volts. Each core has Q control, CV over Q, or resonance if you want, 0 to 5 volts. We have CV over both core states, and that's also 0 to 5 volts. And then we have eight multiple outputs. These are all simultaneous. We have the band pass, high pass, low pass, and that's mirrored. So this is the same on the second core. And we have the notch outputs. So the default routing would be to input here. And this is normal, as you can see, there's a little icon here, normal to the little satellite icon there. And then this would be the final output here. Of course, you can patch any of this any way you want. Okay, let's have a listen to some self-oscillation. Still staying with the self-oscillation theme. This time we've got a quasi low-pass gate. Now, quasi means it's not real. It's not a real low-pass gate, but you can get somewhat of a low-pass gate kind of effect. So what we have here is two mod seeks going to sequential switch to create an 8-step sequence. And that's going to the frequency CV of core 1. Core 1 will be set to self-oscillation. It's not at the moment, because we don't want to hear it when I'm explaining it. And obviously this is normal to core 2. Core 2 we're taking the output from low pass. This is completely closed, the frequency, the Q is completely closed. And the frequency CV is coming from the VCF 303 envelope generator, and this is being triggered by the sequencer clock, which is obviously the same clock that's going to these. So as soon as I turn up the Q to maximum, we'll start self-oscillating and we'll get something like a low-pass gate effect. And bear in mind, this is all coming from self-oscillation. There's nothing plugged into the filter at this point. Okay, here we've got a quick setup. We've got 3 LFOs. One of them is controlling the frequency of core 1. The other one is controlling the frequency of core 2. And one of them is controlling the states of the cores. And we have basically a square wave input from the OS 303. And so let's have a listen. Okay, let's look at some basic filter setups and do some sweeps so you can have a listen to that. We'll take the output from the OS 303 Mark II and we'll put that into the input of core 1. And we'll take the output from core 1 low pass. And let's just have listen to some sweeps. So you can hear it's nice and clean. Quite a rich sound as we increase the resonance. Gets a bit more creamy. And as we take the resonance to self-oscillation, it starts getting a bit more distorted. Until we get to full self-oscillation. And of course we can take this from the high pass as well. Just take the resonance down a little bit. And it's nice and clean. Increase the resonance and it gets nasty quick. And of course we've got band pass as well. As well as the notch. Which is also voltage controlled, so we could control this externally, of course. And of course that's just one core. So if we come to the second core and go from the notch out of core 2 And let's see, if we put the state all the way to the right, this means this side will be low pass, this will be high pass, and this is very much like an MS-20 kind of setup. Of course, it's not an MS-20 filter, so it won't sound the same. But yeah, that's high pass into low pass, but if we turn the state, it's now low pass to high pass. Okay, now I'm just going to run through and do some exploration of what sort of sound you can achieve with the external modulation. Now, bear in mind, all the sound, I'm going to take this from the notch out, but all the sound that's coming from this is coming from the filter itself. There's not going to be any external effects, it's going straight into the computer and recording. The only effects we will have will be from external modulation. Okay, some final words. All the controls now are bolted to the panel, so they're nice and sturdy. And we've slightly evolved the design, so we've got this nice sort of middle wiggle room. I've got nice big hands, I want to be able to get in there. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.